Hi, in this video I have an offline UPS or a line interactive UPS. That means that when the console power goes offline, the UPS kicks in, and this is a small unit. It's a what they call a 2000 VA, grossly exaggerated, but nevertheless this is the unit. It's not very big, but what the problem is that, as you can see, whether I switch it on or off, there's nothing shown on the front here. And even when I insert the console power, the electricity, the mains, even when I try to switch it on, it makes no difference. So it's most probably the batteries or possibly the fuse. So in this video, I'm going to demonstrate how to quickly assess the batteries and change them for new batteries. Alright, so the most obvious step is just make sure that your mains is working. So I know that this is working. Right, I'm going to quickly just measure my mains power just to make sure there is power coming into the UPS. There you can see 228 volts there from my IEC plug, and that means that the UPS has a fault. Right, so the very first step is to check the fuse that is sitting at the back there. There's a fuse over here, and I just take a screwdriver and I just lift it. So there's a little lip here, and I take my screwdriver and I just remove the fuse. So just visually inspecting the fuse, I can see that it's still intact, so there's nothing wrong with the fuse. If you have a multimeter, you can set it to continuity. Continuity is measuring a short circuit. If I short out the leads here, that beeping sound means a short circuit, so I'll just quickly test the fuse. And there I can see that the resistance is extremely low, so the fuse is intact. Right, so I'm just returning the fuse, and now I'm going to open the unit. Right, so I've turned the unit upside down. It does require quite a long star screwdriver. As you can see, I've got a long one here because these holes are quite deep. So I have 4 screws which I need to remove, plus the one on the front. Right, so remove your screws. One is still sitting inside there. It's fine as long as it's completely loose. And then I did remove the one on the front. I just give it a tap to remove that last screw. Right, this UPS has a front cover with some clips here, so I'm just going to release them by using a screwdriver, and there you can see how this has come undone. Now I can flip it upside down, just holding it in place. So I'm just holding it like that. Right, now I can unclip the top cover. Now, just a reminder that the unit is unplugged. Right, over there I have some additional fuses. I'm going to quickly measure them. Right, so I've got it set to continuity. There you can hear a short circuit, or you can set it to resistance and then just measure a very low impedance or low resistance. So I'm measuring over there, and there you can see the meter is showing short circuit, and short circuit. So these 40 amp fuses are intact. Now the next thing I do is I just have a quick visual inspection. I don't see anything burned. I don't see any black marks on the circuit board, and also there's no bad smell. Often if a transformer is blown, it'll have quite a bad smell, and if any of these capacitors are blown, it often smells like peanut butter. Right, so everything actually looks fine, and I'm just looking here at the batteries. And immediately I noticed that this battery is cracked on the side here. So this is an obvious catastrophic failure. So I'm going to be changing these batteries. On this unit there are 4 screws, 1, 2, 3, 4. That allows me to remove this cover. Then I can slide out these batteries. Right, so I remove this protective cover here. And now I have access to the batteries. There's a plate on the side here which I can slide up like that. And I can remove these batteries. Just be very careful. I don't want to pull on the wires, and I flip them this way around, and I'm just going to put them on the table so it's easier for the video. Right, so over here I have the batteries, and just looking at them, you can see there's a line here. These batteries have completely destroyed themselves. The casing is actually opened along this crack line here, over here by the seam, over here. So these batteries are finished. I can take a measurement to just demonstrate. I'm going to remove this link between the 2 batteries. I have my meter here. It's set to volts, and I'm going to quickly measure. And there we go, 0. It's dead. This battery is now an open circuit, and this one over here it's completely dead. So these batteries are dead, and that is why the UPS was no longer functional. Right, so I'll just remove this. Right, so these were the faulty batteries. Note it's 12 volt, 9 amp hours. This is the standard size for UPSs. And I'm going to replace it with these batteries. These are also 12 volt. Now notice that the 9 amp hour batteries tend to have this fatter connector, which is the correct size. If you're unable to get the 9 amp hour batteries and you only have the 7 amp hour or the 8 amp hour batteries, then you can still use it. You'll then put it on here, but you might have to reduce the size of this mouth. So you'll have to take some pliers and make this mouth more narrow so that when it goes on here, it can fit. And also you might want to just tighten it a little bit. As long as it's tight on your terminals, even if it's an 8 amp hour battery, it will still work. I've had some good experiences with 8 amp hour gel batteries, but obviously battery choice is up to you. So now what I need to do is I just need to stick these two batteries together. So I'm just taking some double-sided tape. And I'm now sticking them together. Now I'm going to wire them up. There is the negative terminal and here is the positive terminal. This has come a bit loose, so I'm just going to take my pliers and just squeeze or pinch the mouth a little bit closer together. Right, now that's a tight fit, and then just the link in between, because why it had that spark is it was charging the capacitors. There's quite a few capacitors inside here, and that's what that spark was for. If at this point you want to do a quick test to see if it is the batteries, you can switch it on. Just be sure not to touch anything. So if I depress the button on the front here, you can actually hear the buzzer coming on, and I can hear the fan going, and on the front I can actually see a little display here. Right, so the batteries go like this. There's actually a wider space on the one side than the other for the wires. So you'll notice that there's more space here than there. Right, I'll press that in. There is a cover that goes on top. And then there's this plate which sits on the side here, and it must slide in. Notice that the flanges are facing outwards, flat part, smooth part towards the batteries. I don't have to press the plate all the way down, otherwise it'll obstruct the front face. Right, while I have the unit like this, I'm just going to take a blower and I just blow out any unnecessary dust here. And now I just need to flip the lid. Make sure the wires are inside. Be careful not to put your hand inside here. You might touch some of the capacitors. And I just want the wires in a safe space. And now I can just close the lid. Notice the seam is closed, and over here flip it upside down. I check that it is also closed here along the seam, and then here on the front I just press it. These clips reseat. I need to put my 4 screws in here and the 5th one over there. Right, so there it's switched on, running off batteries. If I want to plug in the mains, I can plug it in at the back, and then we'll hear the fan. Yeah, I clicked over and the fan went off. I'm now going to plug in a load. I have a 50-watt floodlight over here. Right, we can see the floodlight over there, and it's working. Now if I remove the mains is now removed, and there we can see the floodlight stays on, and it is now running off batteries. Right, so this line interactive UPS is now working. Thanks for watching, and cheers.